The biggest market shift of a decade just happened silently. Few headlines, few warnings, but the Fed just flipped the switch that ends one era and begins another. And if you understand what this shift means, it could really set you up for the next multi-year shift or wealth wave. Listen, most investors will miss it, but hopefully you won't. And at the end of this video, man, I'm gonna break down 2 mid-cap stocks that I'm really looking to buy and hold at least for the next year. It's your boy, the Wall Street Chapman, man. Listen, in this video, we're gonna turn some things around. We're gonna position ourselves. We're gonna break down what the Fed is doing. We're gonna break down what is QE. We're gonna break down why they're gonna put almost $50 billion a month into the market and what that means for your portfolio. So let's go, man. Before you get into this video, man, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you share this video out to somebody. It's your boy, the Wall Street Trapper. Let's go. So let's just talk about the shift. December 1st, Wall Street pretends like it wasn't a big deal, but it was really massive. What was it? Quantitative tightening ended. That's right. Quantitative tightening ended. So before we get into that, let's just talk about something. We're going about our merry way, and then we get this COVID that happens. Pandemic. That's right. Everybody's sitting in their house. Everybody freaking out because we don't know what the heck going on. We never thought we would be in a situation like this. We can't touch, we can't cough, we can't sneeze, we can't smell, we can't taste. We got to cover our mouth. They're telling us to stay inside. We never thought we'd see anything like this. It was something that we only saw on TV. And then in the process of that, because people couldn't go outside, what happened was the government decides they want to flood the market with money. That's right, a lot of money. And those trillions of dollars that got flooded into the market, well, it seemed like free checks to everybody. But it wasn't, because we live in America and nothing is free. And so what ended up happening was, because America is a consumer-based economy, we need people to spend money. It's the only way that the economy keeps going. That's the only way that the machine keeps on being effective. So we had to print money out of nowhere, give that money to people who were sitting inside so that they can spend that money with companies so stock prices could go up. And what did we know? The Fed pumped a lot of money into the market. And then something happened. We realized that money got to come out the market now. And that was called quantitative tightening. Now, during that time, the Fed was putting about $60 billion a month of liquidity into the market, meaning it was buying in bonds, they was getting that, they was lending it, because remember, the Fed is a different entity than the United States government. That's right. They don't work together. It's 2 different entities, right? We already talked about that. The Fed has 2 jobs, price stability and maximizing jobs, right? And in the economy, we got to keep on doing what? Spending money. So what has to happen is there's a cycle that got to happen. And the cycle is there are certain times when the Fed got to put money into the economy to keep the economy up. That's called quantitative easing. And then there's a time where the Fed got to tighten things up and say, nope, we're not buying it. And they got to tighten things up. It's just a natural order of things. And right later on in the video, we're going to talk about the full cycles that America has to go through as a economy. And it has to go through these cycles. These are normal. That's why you have depressions. That's why you have recessions. That's why you have booms. That's why you have huge bull markets. All of these are necessary. Now, the thing about the markets nowadays is you get on YouTube and you get on these social media sites and you get on these headlines, and every time there's something slight that happens, people keep scaring the everyday investor because all they keep saying is crash, 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 crash. And you get scared, you get fearful, you take your money out the market and you miss the biggest run-ups. But I don't want to go there yet. Bring it all back, Trap. So before we go too further into that, let's just break down what is quantitative tightening. So QT is simply the Fed shrinking its balance sheet, taking liquidity out of the market. So the Fed's liquidity in the market, their balance sheet after COVID around that time was at almost like $9 trillion. So from April 2022 till now, the balance sheet is now at around 6.6 trillion. So that was huge tightening. They took about 2.4 or 2.3, give or take a couple $100 billion out of the market. But here's the thing, the market still seemed to find a way to fly. Now, with QT ending, that means the drainage is done. That alone puts about $30 to $35 billion of liquidity back into the system automatically. Now, stopping QT, that doesn't just mean that the market's going to run, but it does mean the Fed has removed a large tailwind from the market. QT does three things that are really bearish to equities. They drain liquidity, they push interest rates higher than otherwise would be, and it forces investors into cash and bonds instead of risk assets. Okay, let's dig a little deep into that. When QT stops, all three pressures reverse. Liquidity stops shrinking, rate pressures ease, and capital slowly comes back into the market. That alone is structurally bullish for equities and risk on assets for at least 6 to 9 months. Not because the economy is strong though, but because liquidity is no longer being actively taken out of the market. And remember, the markets need money to run. And in markets, the moment the bleeding slows down, that's when the healing begins. First, it becomes stabilization, then expansion, then boom. This is the sequence. Tightening, that's the pain. Stabilization, QT stops. This is where we are now. Then you get some easing, Fed putting money back in the market. Then you get asset inflation. Then you finish the bull market off. Now, QT stopping doesn't really mean the market's going to go up. This is where a lot of people are going to get trapped. And the reason why they're going to get trapped is because they're going to get in early. They're going to do a lot of crazy things because they're just going off headlines. But historically, when QT ends, the Fed doesn't stop because things are great. The Fed stops because something is actually starting to be at risk. So the sequence usually goes a little bit like this that we need to know. QT stops, markets stay choppy for a little while, or they drop once more. Stress becomes visible. Banks, credit, housing, jobs. Don't that sound familiar? Then the Fed moves up to the actual balance sheet expansion, which is quantitative easing. Now they might call it another name. This is what launches the durable bull market, y'all. This is accumulation phase. And you want to be building positions in mega cap tech, AI infrastructure, semiconductors, high quality growth, strong cash flow compounders, precious metals. These are the things that the market are rewarding. You don't chase euphoric spikes, y'all. No, not right here. You build through volatility because liquidity backdrops, they're going to shift in your favor. Let me say that a little bit better. This is where you really buy the dip. Now, that's if you're a long-term trader and you trading that up with a bigger horizon, or you're investing for a bigger horizon. But as a short-term trader, when you're trading for weeks and days, you got to expect violent rotations, fake breakouts, headline-driven pump and dumps, and more liquidity scare is possible. What this means for every different asset class, it just means that equities, yep, they're going to be medium to long-term bullish for sure. Short-term volatile, but it's going to be supported. Crypto, it's going to be volatile, but the liquidity coming back into the market. Watch this. You're going to hit this word a lot. Risk on assets. That means people are willing to take a little bit more risk. Crypto, let's go. Short term for bonds, they may be choppy, but there's some policies forming that could be toward easing. Very, very, very sensitive to balance sheet expansion. QT stopping is a green light because it tells us the money printers are back rolling. Now, cash, it starts becoming a losing asset all over again. Because this is why you see a lot of countries getting rid of the dollar and they're buying more gold because they know rate cuts are coming. And if rate cuts coming, dollar gets weak. You need to know that. And let's just talk about this for a second. Where rate cuts coming, the dollar getting weak. I need you to understand what happens. It's going to now cost more. Okay, let me really lock this into you. Where rate cuts coming, watch this. With rate cuts coming, the dollar will weaken. Say that again. With rate cuts coming, the dollar will weaken. With the Fed putting more money into the economy, the dollar will weaken. So it's going to cost you more. That's right. It's going to cost you more. Now listen, they're going to cut the rates for sure. But I need you to understand that you got to get assets right now. This is pivotal. Think about this during COVID. When they put all that money into the market, right? Didn't things get expensive? Remember, during COVID, inflation was at 9%.
Whoop they do.
Remember, during COVID, inflation was at 9%, y'all. 9% is a lot. And so now we're around that range of 3.5. Now we've been stuck in that 2.5, 3.5 range. But as we talked about in our last video from Sunday, Kevin Heslett, he's a real dovish Fed chairman, which we think he's going to get in around May. Remember, we talked about in the Sunday video, you haven't checked it out, please go check it out again. We talk about the real bull, the real bullish call, the thing that's really going to get the markets going is what happens when the Fed talks about Wednesday. Him letting us know what's going to happen Wednesday is essential because we need to know what's going to happen in January. We already got this current rate cut baked in. We know what's going to happen here, right? But what's going to happen in January? Because from January, now we lead into the new Fed governor, which is going to be getting in May because that's when Jerome Powell gets out of office. This is really, really important for us. Now, I just want you to understand, we just transitioned from a policy tightening to a policy stabilization phase. The next phase after the stabilization phase is monetary easing and then asset inflation. Why is it asset inflation? Because now you got the Fed pumping money. Then everybody's going to run to what? Assets. Assets to go to run up. That's when things get dangerous. This is where the big money is made. But only by the people who position early and survive the volatility and were positioned while everyone else is scared. Let's talk about that $13.5 billion that appeared overnight. It didn't appear overnight. Everybody talking about the repo market, but nobody not really telling y'all what it is. So let me break it down plain and simple. Repo is when banks borrow cash from the Fed overnight. Now, banks only do this when they're tight on equity. This is the second largest repo injection since COVID. Now, bigger than injections during the dot-com bubble. It happened subtly because the banks needed cash now. Now, when banks are stressed, the Fed eventually steps in with liquidity. And when the Fed provides liquidity, asset prices rise, always. Liquidity drives market, not hope, not hype, not hysteria. Liquidity drives markets. Believe it or not, I think this is why Michael Burry was short NVIDIA and Palantir. Doesn't really matter long term, but I think he understood that these were the big dogs. These were the stock that was up a lot. And he understood what was happening. I think the injection and the QE may have caught him off guard. Time will tell. Now, let's think about this. Jerome Powell told us in October, eventually the Fed will need to expand its balance sheets. Translation, QE is on the way. Maybe quietly, maybe loudly, but it's on the way. Lori Logan, the Dallas Fed, what did she say to us out loud? She said the Fed may need to begin purchasing assets again to stabilize reserves. What does that mean? The Fed gonna buy some assets. QE. They can't let liquidity fall much further without what? Breaking the system. John Williams, the New York Fed, what did he say to us? All of these things we talked about already. It said that the balance sheet may need to expand soon. These are Fed officials speaking like this. The liquidity cycle is turning, y'all, and we have to see it. We have to pay attention to it. 100%. They're preparing the public for easing. But the market always prices it in before it comes. Now, I'm going to go even further. There was an analyst from a major firm on Wall Street that said the Fed may be buying $50 billion of treasuries as early as January, February, Q1, a month. Think in COVID, they was doing it, $60 billion. Let's put it in language. Expansion equals growth in credit flowing. That's phase one. Peak equals high rates, slow spending. Phase two. Contraction equals layoff and liquidity rates. That's 3. And then recovery is rates fall and liquidity expands. Okay, we just moved from contraction into early recovery. The moment where fortunes are built. And the reason why I can say that because I think we truly been in what's called a rollover recession. I've talked about this before. Is what it don't look like it's good at the top. It looks good at the top. When you pull the hood up, you see such a mess down there. This is why most investors miss the moment. People wait for perfect times and they wait for clarity. They wait for headlines to say now's the time. They hold too much cash and they miss the beginning of the cycle. And this is why I told y'all a couple weeks ago, I said, yo, do not get scared right here, y'all. This is the headline that won't get you out of position because it's coming. The risk isn't crash. The risk isn't being frozen. The risk is being shackled to cash while liquidity sneaks back into the market. So with that being said, I'm going to talk about two mid-cap stocks that I really like right now. Remember, I'm not telling you to invest in it at all. I'm not telling you to invest in it. I'm going to say that again. I'm not telling you to invest in it. I'm not telling you that you're going to make a fortune from this. I'm not telling you that these stocks going to give you a Lambo. What I am saying, here's two stocks that I'm looking to invest in, and I'm going to break down why. First on the list is Flex, F-E-L-X. It's a monster. They build the physical hardware for AI, EVs, grid tech, cloud infrastructure. They have deep relations with Fortune 100 companies. Their supply chain reach is global. The ROIC is strong. Asset-light manufacturing. Watch this. They are positioned at the intersection of AI hardware, EV systems, battery tech, and cloud scale electronics. Flex is the company behind companies. That's right. The world can't scale into AI or AI storage or AI energy storage without manufacturers like this. They have low debt, they have stable cash flow, a perfect early cycle play. Again, we like AI, not always the big names. Sometimes we like to spin the bin and get the ones that's not talked about as much. Ticker symbol FELX. Another one that I like is TEL, which is Tel Connectivity. This company is powerful, y'all. Listen, they produce the connectors, the sensors, and the components that make AI hardware, EVs, planes, satellites, and satellite functions. Without Tel, data literally cannot move through machines. They supply defense, aerospace, autos, robotics, and industrial automation. Now they have a phenomenal ROIC. We talking about fundamental investing 101. They have a 24% ROIC, return on invested capital. The net margins is super strong. They have low debt. They have a really, really, really sticky customer who cannot easily switch to a competitor, something that I love, and mission control components. They have a high moat. I'm not chasing what everybody else chasing. This company sells the components that the world must use no matter what the economy is doing. Family. This is the moment where the emotional lose and the informed, the ones who are positioned, this is where you can build generational wealth. Q2 is over. Liquidity is turning and the Fed is signing the papers for our wealth. They are signaling to us this is the next era. Most people going to wait for permission. Well, the builders, they're going to stay in position. And so I hope you understood what we talked about here in this one right here, man. It's your boy, the Wall Street Chapman, man. Make sure you lock in. Make sure you prepare because these next 5-6 months could be amazing. I'm not saying years. I'm saying these next 5-6 months. I'm saying that in the year, going into at least around May, could be really strong. They're going to have some volatility in the market, but I promise you, it's just to shake you out of position. It's your boy, the Wall Street Chapman. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. Salute.